Good morning. Happy Friday. As you know, last night I did the FPU course. That's what we had on Thursday night. And it was class number 5. Yeah, that one's called Buyer Beware. So basically, we've already went through all the baby steps. So let's review. Baby step 1, save $1,000 for your starter emergency fund. So if you have an issue, you don't go into debt some more, like a car fix, because you ain't got no more cash. So save $1,000. Step 2, get out of debt completely. Throw every penny that you have towards debt. Optimize your life. Cut back on spending. Cut back on grocery budget. Don't go out to eat. Throw every ounce you have into debt. Baby step 3, save 3 to 6 months of your emergency fund. 3 to 6 months of living expenses. And that's your insurance for if you lose your job, have a medical situation, whatever, you have money you need to live. Baby step 4 is put 15% of your income towards retirement. You do all these things in order except baby step 4, 5, and 6 at the same time. Baby step 4, put 15% towards your retirement. Baby step 5, save for kids' college. Baby step 6, pay off your house early. So those things happen at the same time. Then baby step 7, be generous. Once you're payment free, you're already tithing 10% up until that point. Once you're payment free, you can live and give like no one else, which is what Dave Ramsey talks about. Anyway, so we went through that in the first 4 classes. Now, class number 5 was called Buyer Beware. And basically, he just goes into all the tricks, the marketing tricks from when you go to buy a car, even going to the Apple store, and how easy it is to make purchases, like going to the Apple store and buying it from your phone, like scanning the item from your phone and just walking out of the store, not even having to talk to anybody. And it goes onto your Apple account, and like you don't even feel it out of your bank, so it's easy. So all of a sudden you are purchasing more than you should. So the purpose of this class is to say, if you have a plan to get out of debt, if that's where you're at, or save your money to then do the retirement and all these things. If you have this plan, be aware of how you're marketed to. Be aware of how easy it is to make purchases, like on Amazon, so that you have a plan against that, rules against that, so that way their good marketing, excellent marketing, doesn't disrupt the plan that you have to get out of debt. The budget doesn't bust your budget, okay? Impulse buys and so forth. And he talks about opportunity cost. So here's an example. You got 5 G's. Those 5 G's, if you pay for a cruise, you didn't fund your Roth IRA. That's something you could have done with it. If you fund your Roth IRA, you couldn't take the cruise. So that's an opportunity cost. So it's whenever you have a certain amount of money, you think about what different things you can do with it, you should do with it. It's not all about investing. It depends on the stage of where you're at, or all about saving. You can pay for the cruise once you're out of debt and you have an emergency fund in place, but it's about knowing what you can do with those dollars and making the best decision according to the plan and goals of your life. So here's a great example he gave that, like, when I heard this the first time, because this is the second time I've heard this example, but when I heard this the first time, it like did something to me. It was like, I know they say like a light bulb in your head, but really it felt like a bomb went off in my head. I was like, poof. Anyway, so there's this guy, he's an investment broker, and he was making really good money, and he had this goal. The goal was, once he makes $100,000 a year, he's going to take $40,000 out of his mutual fund to go buy a Mercedes. That was his goal. That was his, I made it dream. This is 1986. And he hit his goal. He took out the 40 G's. He goes to the Mercedes dealership. He says he wants to test drive the car. Once the dude knows he's going to pay cash for it, he goes, why don't you take it home overnight? he gets home with the car. The wife's going crazy, saying, "You met your goals," you know. But he said he made one mistake. He pulled out his financial calculator and calculated what 40 G's would look like in a mutual fund over the course of some time. And he said, I can't do that. So what did he do? He took the Mercedes back. He bought a $6,000 car, which at the time was, I'm sure, was a really nice car. Okay, we're talking about '86. Like you're talking about probably buying a Camry versus a Mercedes, honestly, or like a Corolla. But he went and bought a $6,000 car and put the 40 G's back. And in 12 years later, so that was '86. So we're talking about '98. In 1998, he's driving in his really nice car now. Because it's all about the stage you're in. You sacrifice now, so later you got all the money in the world to write a check and buy whatever car you want, right? So he's in his really nice car. And he looks over and he sees the same car he wanted to buy, a 1986 Mercedes. And he asks the guy, hey, do you know what the value of that car is? And he's like, yeah, actually, I just bought it. I'm really excited about it. I just paid $4,000 for it. So if he would have put 40 G's into that car in 1986, it would be worth $40,000 12 years later. And he went home and he looked up his mutual fund that he just put 40 G's. He didn't add anything else to it that day. And it was $300,000. So 40 G's could either equal 4,000 or 300,000. Which one would you choose? Again, that doesn't mean you don't buy something you want, but in the stage of life he was in, that 40 grand was all he had in the investments. He might have had his house, he might have had a couple other things, maybe not even fully paid off, right? He's paying off his house. It takes time, it takes years, the snowball, right? You know? And those 40 G's at that time was a lot of his money. 12 years later, those 40 G's are a little bit of his money, not only with the 300,000 it converted to, but all the other money he has made over time and other investments. And again, making wise choices over time. So anyway, the whole point is realize what are your needs versus your wants. Sacrifice for a time for your goals. Get out of debt. Don't impulse buy. Be careful. Know that you're being marketed to. You know that you're being bombarded with marketing. And you have to be aware and make good choices and keep to your budget. Get out of debt. Save your emergency fund. And then just be intentional. 15% to retirement at the same time as saving for a vacation, as saving for a car. And the day you hit a net worth of $1 million, you go to the car dealership and you write a check and you get the car you want. You get a new car versus 1 or 2 years used because you have you don't lose that first 20% they lose within like the first year. That's what you do now. That's what you do now. Now you get the $6,000 car versus the $40,000 car. But if you are intentional and if you go after it, it won't be but a few years. When they do the math, the people on the program get out of debt, get their emergency fund, and pay off their house on average in 7 years. In 7 years, you will be payment free, have your house paid for, have no payments in any way, and a safety net of money. Like if your house is paid off, you are worth whatever that house can sell for in the market. So let's say you bought it at 220, it's worth 300 grand now. Okay, you paid it off in 7 years, so you're worth 300 grand. In the last 4 years before that, you got out of debt the first 3 years, got your emergency fund. In the last 4 years, you've been putting 15% towards retirement. You probably gonna have, I don't know, at least 150,000 in 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 your retirement. That's 400. You're worth 450,000. Now, how quickly can you grow that if without payments? If you could throw your whole mortgage payment to retirement, how quickly can you grow those investments to 600-700 grand and be worth $1 million? 3 years? It's a multiplier effect. Anyway, whatever. Guard yourself from buying crap you don't need. Look at needs and wants. Sacrifice today. Get into good habits today. Because literally 10 years from now, you could be a millionaire. Yeah. Literally 10 years from now, you could be worth $1 million. Now let's touch base again in 10 years. Let's see. If you do the Dave Ramsey plan, you could be a millionaire. If you don't, you'll still have student loans. You'll still have a house payment. So which is it? Make a choice. Make a choice and be free. Anyway, have a great weekend.